Hey everyone, I'm Stephanie. I'm a book-loving, notebook-hoarding reader and writer on a mission to change lives one book and one notebook at a time. And this is the Get Literate podcast. On this podcast, we explore the power of leading literate lives. We talk all things books and reading, notebooks and writing, and everything in between to make our lives better. And no matter what better means to you, the pages inside books and notebooks can help us get there. So, each week, we'll mix together books, notebooks, mindful practices, and creativity to cultivate a life we love. Now, grab a notebook and your TBR list, and let's get literate. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Get Literate podcast. And of course, happy Valentine's Day. If you're listening to this episode in real time, it's Valentine's Day in the United States and love is in the air. And today I have such a fun episode for you because I want you to think not just regular love, but notebook love. One of my favorite things to talk to people about, besides books and what they're reading, are notebooks. I have an obsession with notebooks, as you know, and if you listen to the previous episode, you know all about my 2023 notebook stack. But basically, I love notebooks in all shapes and sizes for all reasons. I love talking to people about what kind of notebook speaks to them. Is it a spiral notebook? And if it is the spiral on the side, or maybe it's on the top? Is it a threaded notebook, a disc-bound notebook? Do they have tabs in them, or do you make them yourself with sticky notes? How about the paper? How thick is it? Is it bright white? Is it off-white? Is it craft paper? What about the cover? Hardcover, soft cover, decorative cover, plain cover, embossed cover, initials on your cover? Are the pages lined, or are they unlined, or are they dotted? Do you have a ribbon that's attached so that you can hold your place? Or do you have the band that keeps the whole thing nice and snug together? These are the kinds of conversations I love having with people. Seriously, I love helping people find the perfect notebook for them. And why is that so important? Well, if you find the perfect notebook, then you are more apt to actually spend time with it, which means you'll get the benefits of writing. So today we are going to have a lot of fun on this Valentine's Day, and I am going to help you find, are you ready? Your notebook love language. Wait, what? What's a notebook love language? Well, okay, first we have to actually talk about what love languages are. Have you heard of that before? The 5 love languages? It's a concept and ultimately a book that was developed by Gary Chapman. The book is actually called The 5 Love Languages, The Secret to Love That Lasts. And the book actually really dives deep into the concept of love, and it helps you figure out how you define love, how you value love, what you need to feel loved and safe and secure. That way, you can go find those things for yourself, and then depending on your situation, you can help your partner understand those things about you and vice versa. And I'm not just talking about romantic partners. I mean, friendships and coworkers. Figuring out what you need to feel loved, to feel good, to feel happy, to feel appreciated. That's getting to know yourself better so that you can get more out of life, so that you can get more out of your relationships when you find out what the person on the other side wants and needs and loves too. And so this concept certainly works in our personal life. It can definitely work in our professional life too. But today we are going to talk about how the concept can work in our notebook, in our writing life, because in our writing life, our notebook is our partner. I told you this was going to be a fun one today. Okay, but first, let's talk about the 5 love languages in general in case they are new to you. Now, you can go online. You can actually take a quiz to figure out what your love language is. But I just want to give you the quick rundown of what those 5 languages are. You can listen. You can try to guess what your love language might be based on what you know about yourself. And then later on, you might hop online and go take that quiz and find out for sure. So the 5 love languages. First up, the first love language is words of affirmation. If this is your love language, then you feel most loved and secure and appreciated when you are given compliments, right? So those could be verbal compliments and verbal affections. It could be that your requests or the things that you are asking of others are satisfied. And it's just that you appreciate when someone takes the time to tell them or to tell you what they like about you, what they find compelling about you, that you're doing a good job, that they're proud of you. You really appreciate when positive words are put out in the world and that those positive words are about you. Now, up next, number 2 is quality time. You feel most loved when someone gives their time to you. Time matters, not just the quality, but also the quantity of it. You want that focused attention. You want that quality conversation without devices. You want that eye contact. You don't want any multitasking. Time is really important to you. Now, number 3 is receiving gifts. So for you to feel loved, you need to receive things. And often those things need to be tangible, right? They need to be tokens of appreciation that someone took the time to actually thoughtfully get for you to show them that they care, right? So this could be actual gifts that they know you'll like based on your personality and your hobbies, or it could just be little handmade things. It doesn't have to be a monetary gift. It can be a handmade gift or just a small token of appreciation. But it does go beyond verbal appreciation because that would be words of affirmation. And if your love language is receiving gifts, you want that tangible evidence of it so that you can savor it later on. Love language number 4 is acts of service. You feel loved when someone does something for you, when they help you without being asked, right? When they take the load off of your busy day just because they want to help you out, right? Your love language is when someone sees you, realizes the help that you need or want, and does it without asking. I really like acts of service. Number 5 is physical touch. If this is your love language, you're a hugger, you're a hand holder, you're a shoulder snuggler, you like to sit close. You need that physical proximity to someone in order to feel most safe, most secure, and most loved. So let me repeat them again. Words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. Do you see yourself in any of these? If I asked you to pick one out, which one sounds most like you? And maybe you look at it as which one do you most appreciate that others give you right now? Or maybe you think of it of which one is missing in my life that I wish I had. That's another way to identify what your love language might be. And remember, this is just you thinking about what your overall love language is. You can always head online, Google it, take the quick quiz, and you'll get that love language for sure, with a whole lot of recommendations for how to bring more of that aspect of love into your life. Okay, so now that the serious part's over, now that we know what those 5 love languages are, today we are going to have some fun because we are going to use the 5 love languages and I'm going to turn them into 5 notebook love languages to make our writing life better. I love this topic. Okay, here we go. And here's the plan. I want to go love language by love language, and I want to talk about a couple of things. I want to talk about the kind of notebook that you would love the most if this were your love language. And then I want to talk about the kinds of writing experiences and the kinds of writing prompts that notebook love language would really get a charge out of in their writing life. Right? So here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping you're going to see yourself in one of these love languages and then just go all in. But I'm also hoping that you're going to consider the other notebook love languages with new eyes and find something that you might be able to spice up your writing life with. Right? Just like in the regular 5 love languages books, it's important to know your love language and seek out what makes you feel loved. But it's also important to know what else is out there so that you can appreciate love differently with those around you and maybe even learn from it. That's what we're doing here today. Okay, so here we go. If words of affirmation is your notebook love language, then your notebook needs to be beautiful. You want to have the kind of notebook that has a beautiful cover. It speaks to you. The colors are your jam, right? They are your theme colors, your signature colors, the colors that make you happy. Maybe there's a graphic on there, and it could be an iconic graphic where it's just shapes and swirls and geometric images put together in a beautiful, fun way. Or maybe it's a beautiful image that speaks to you instead. There's a tree with beautiful falling leaves, or there are hearts all over it, or it's your favorite animal, right? With a fun meme on there. Either way, that cover needs to speak to you in words of affirmation, right? They need to make you feel good. And often you might have quotes on the front of your notebook, or the title of your notebook is embossed with a beautiful quote or a graphic. The words of affirmation translate into words or visual images on the notebook that make you feel good and make you feel appreciated. And if you open up the pages, for you, you might find it beneficial if there are some inspiration on your notebook pages as well. So think about those pages that often have beautiful quotes on the bottom, or just icons for the page numbers or in the top right corner that make the writing experience a positive one. Those words of affirmation are on the cover, they're on the pages, and just looking at them makes you feel good. You're basically using your notebook to affirm, right? Words of affirmation, you're affirming things about yourself, and your notebook is helping you feel that you deserve this notebook, you deserve this writing life, you deserve this time. And so for you, filling the pages of a notebook, it's really important to focus on things like mantras and quotes and affirmations. Write them down day after day after day, or have a section of your notebook where you can gather them and then return to them often. Right? If words of affirmation is your love language, you love others to give those affirmations to you, but your notebook can do the same thing. You don't need to rely on a person to say those good things about you. You can just open up your notebook and find them right there and give that gift to yourself. Now, another writing style that someone who has a notebook love language of words of affirmation might enjoy is visioning, right? And actually looking forward into our future and affirming what we hope to be there. So you might write out what the perfect day is. You might write out what the perfect experience is and just live it on the page. It's also the perfect kind of love language to start some gratitude journaling or gratitude lists, because gratitude is all about capturing those words that affirm the good in our life. And so gratitude journaling and listing is definitely important for someone in this love language. And I also want to throw in there that if you're a fan of Rachel Hollis and her Start Today journal, unfortunately, those journals are now discontinued, but that whole practice of Start Today, where you open up the day with 5 things you're grateful for, 10 dreams that you want to reach, and 1 goal that you have for the day, that's affirming and putting it out there in the universe. And so that's something that really aligns with a words of affirmation love language. So to recap, if that's you, you love a beautiful notebook that affirms your ability to get to that writing habit. And inside the pages, it's filled with things that affirm the good in your life. Okay, that was the first one. Love language for your notebook number 2, quality time. If this is your notebook love language, you want a quality notebook. You are going all in because you deserve it. This is not picking up a notebook from the Target bin or the dollar store. This is going to Moleskine. right? This is going online to your favorite paper company, Notebook Therapy, and diving deep, right? The feel of it is wonderful. So maybe it's a heavy notebook because the paperweight is beautiful, or it's a leather cover, it's an embossed cover, it's hardcover, and maybe even the edges of the paper are decorated so that when your notebook is closed, you have a beautiful scene on the outside of those pages too. If quality time is your notebook love language, you want to spend quality time with your notebook. And so you want a notebook that's going to be there for you. And therefore, it's going to be quality and it's going to be luxe. Now, what kinds of practices and prompts might be best for you if you love quality time? Well, for you, you need to be consistent in your writing habit. If quality time is your love language, in order to feel really good about your writing life, you have to be consistent with it. So maybe that looks like morning pages for you. And every morning, the very first thing you do when you get up is to write a couple of pages, freehand, stream of consciousness of what's on your mind. And you just spend quality time with that notebook and therefore yourself every morning. Or maybe you're more of a traditional journaler, and every afternoon you sit down with your cup of tea or your cup of coffee and you write about whatever comes to mind. Maybe you have prompts that you write from that help you consistently show up to the page. If you are a quality time notebook love languager, then you appreciate reflection, and your notebook becomes a space for you to talk about your day, the details of your life, and the memories that you want to hold on to. Because if quality time is your love language in real life, capturing that time as a memory to hold on to later, that becomes your notebook love language too. So your notebook is going to be there for you through thick and thin. You need the kind of notebook that can endure that, and the kind of writing practice that's going to match what you're hoping to get. Okay, so there's words of affirmation, there's quality time. Here comes receiving gifts. Now, if receiving gifts is your notebook love language, your notebook's important. But what's really important is the notebook bling. It's all the other stuff. It's the pens, it's the markers, it's the gel pens, it's the fine tip Sharpies, it's the stickers, it's the things that add to the writing experience. Maybe it's stamps. Maybe it's something you made from your Cricut. Maybe it's really cool wax seals that indicate the different sections of your notebook. Yes, the notebook's important, but what really lights your writing heart on fire is all the stuff that elevates the experience. Writing in your notebook turns into a gift for yourself, and all of those little things remind you of how important the writing process is. And it just makes you feel good to be able to give yourself that crafty, quality gifting time. So if that's you, you've got all your things. And the best kind of writing for that, well, there's a couple of types of writing, but if you want to look at receiving gifts, then you really appreciate things. You appreciate life, you appreciate the moments, you appreciate the tokens of appreciation. And so you might appreciate memory making, or think of planners, right? For all of you planners out there that don't use your planner as a planner, you use your planner as a way to capture your memories. You likely have a love language of receiving gifts, because those planners are full of beautiful color and stickers and even fabric swatches and, oh my goodness, lots of washi tape. Right? So you're capturing the memories with these extra tokens that make you feel good. You might capture the moment creatively. You may capture it with lists. I love Lael by Mail and all of her listing YouTubes. And so maybe that's you. Maybe you get out the stamps. Maybe you get out the crafts. You get out the things that really elevate and heighten the experience if receiving gifts is your notebook love language. Now, love language number 4 is acts of service. If acts of service is your love language, then your notebook needs to be functional. It needs to literally serve you. Your notebook needs to serve you. And so your notebook needs to fit your life. So whether it's hardcover or soft cover, if it's got to be thrown in your bag or not. If it's got to be organized, does it have tabs or are you going to use sticky notes? Is it disc bound so that you can keep adding to it and rearranging it? Does it need to have templates like habit trackers or calendars or monthly goal planning so that you can capture that information to serve you later on? Does it need a ribbon in it so it can hold your place easily? Does it need a band around the outside so that it keeps everything snug? If an acts of service is your notebook love language, your notebook needs to serve you. And so if you think about the kinds of writing experiences and practices where your notebook can serve you, maybe your notebook needs to have a space at the top for the date. Maybe it needs a spot at the bottom to remind you, to put your page number there so that you can make that table of contents in the beginning. Because if your notebook's going to serve you, you have to find the content easily. Maybe your notebook, in order to serve your writing life well, needs predetermined prompts, whether that's a prompt at the top of each page to guide you through reflection, or just some lists strategically placed in the notebook to give you inspiration when you're not sure what to write about. Maybe it has to have some functional pages because your notebook is going to be full of to-do lists and get-to-do lists and want-to-do lists and goal setting. And maybe because you really want your notebook to serve you, you want other tools to serve you as well. So maybe you go for some of those journaling stamps and those notebook stamps that help arrange your page instantly, no matter what notebook you're using, to give you the space for those particular writing prompts. But essentially, your notebook needs to serve you. And so you need the tools or the prompts or the ideas in order to help you get the most you can out of your notebook so you can get the most you can out of your life. Okay, we are down to notebook language number 5 already, and that is physical touch. If physical touch is your notebook love language, then you want your notebook to feel good. So think about the notebooks that have beautiful texture. You've got a fabric cover. Maybe it's like mine and it's got a cork wrap around it. Maybe it's corduroy fabric, whatever it is. Your notebook needs to feel good, whether that's the notebook itself or a wrap or something you put around it. The paper needs to be quality. It likely needs to be a little bit thicker. Maybe it even is homemade with some of those scalloped edges. You definitely need a band that clasps it together and a ribbon that holds your place. Maybe not to serve you well, but just to feel and look good and give you more to actually engage with as you write. Maybe the edges are even a bit embossed, so you have that beautiful feel of the pages as well. So if physical touch is your notebook love language, you want your notebook to feel good. And I mean literally feel good, right? And so for you, for writing practices for you, you need to set the stage a bit, because if that physical touch matters to you, then likely the physical location and the physical context for writing matters to you as well. So think rituals and routines. Do you light a candle whenever you get your notebook out? Do you brew a cup of coffee or steep a cup of tea? Do you need to have a certain scent and the diffuser, right? The experience of notebooking and writing matters most to you. And you want to write in a way that feels good. So you likely have some really great quality pens here as well, because you appreciate the physical experience of feeling the pen on the paper. And when you do write, people who have the notebook love language of physical touch, they can write about things that make them feel good too. So feel good physically, feel good mentally. So maybe it's a lot of personal journaling, maybe it's poetry writing, maybe it's creative fiction. It's unique to the writer, but essentially it's that theme of feeling good in more ways than one. Okay, there we go. We have 5 notebook love languages. Let me recap them really quickly. If your notebook love language is words of affirmation, then you want your notebook to affirm your writing life and affirm how you feel about yourself too. If your notebook love language is quality time, then you want your notebook to be there for you. If your notebook love language is receiving gifts, then you want the notebooking experience to feel like a gift and have all that extra bling. If your notebook love language is acts of service, then you want your notebook to literally serve you well and make your life better. And if your notebook love language is physical touch, then you literally want your notebook to feel good physically so that you can feel good mentally. Now, I'm hoping that this has just lit you up and you have had fun listening to this conversation today. And here's the thing. I do not want to pigeonhole you into being one kind of notebooker or one kind of writer. I just want you to relax and have some fun and lean into whatever kind of notebook you instantly gravitate towards, whatever kind of writing you gravitate towards. Because here's the thing. All the research we have on the power of writing and the health benefits of writing, physical, emotional, cognitive, mental, it doesn't matter what you write about. Well, in some of the researches does. We can go into another episode about that. But overall, it just matters that you put pen to paper. And so having a notebook that you love, that's going to increase the probability that you actually write in the notebook and get those benefits. So thinking about your notebook love language today can help you do that, but it can also help you see new possibilities to your writing life that maybe you didn't consider. And maybe other things are important to you that you hadn't known. And if you just tweak a few things, it could make your writing life and therefore your actual life better. And just like Gary Chapman wants us to in his 5 Love Languages book, first we find our own language. Right? We make a commitment to ourselves to find what makes us feel good. But then we're open to the fact that other people think and feel differently. And just like other people think and feel differently, other writers think and feel differently. And so talking about what we want out of our writing lives and listening to other people say the same, even if it is a fun conversation as this one, that can only make our writing life better. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about which love language today is actually your notebook love language. Which one really felt like it was just lighting you up as you were listening? And then here's your task for the week. I want you to indulge it. Go find that notebook that speaks to you. Buy it, dig it out of your basement box of all the other notebooks that maybe you haven't used in the past, or what often happens, it's the notebook you bought but are saving. You don't want to ruin it by writing because it's just beautiful or it's perfect, right? That's ridiculous. You have to. You can't get the next one until you fill this one, right? So get out the notebook that you love. Give yourself the gift on Valentine's Day of buying a notebook that you love. And then, of course, be open to what things you might not have considered in a notebook before and try something new. Or what writing practices or prompts or ideas you haven't really tried in your notebook yet, and give it a try. And then better yet, share. Talk about the notebooks you love with other people. Talk about how your writing life is helping your actual life, and give something new a try. Let your writing life enrich your actual life. And you know that I want to hear from you. I want to know what notebooks you love. I want to know what your notebook love language is. Let's just have some fun with this week. You can find me on social media at Affinito Lit. I'd love for you to talk about what your notebook love language is and go ahead and tag me. And we can also have a conversation in the show notes. Head online to litlife.com and just head to the comments. Let me know which love language is for you, and if you want any writing prompts or ideas, or if you have any questions. Now, I'm also working on something behind the scenes, actually 2 somethings, but the first one I'm working on is an actual notebook love language quiz. So if you go on to my website, litlife.com, you can take my reading quiz. I have a quiz that helps you decide what you need next out of your reading life. Better reading habits, a more lit up reading heart, or reading communities. Then I follow up and I give you 9 different quick and simple ideas to really boost that aspect of your reading life. I'm working on something now for your writing life, and pretty soon I will have a quiz to help you figure out what your writing notebook love language is. So I would love to keep you in the loop of that. So if you aren't already on my email list, head to elitlife.com, click on the box on the right side and go ahead and join, because as soon as it's available, I'll send it to you. It'll be a fun, lighthearted quiz, and then you'll get lots of resources in your inbox, depending on what your writing love language is. But for now, share with me what that is on social media and know that there is more to come. So that's it for me today. I am wishing you a wonderful, happy Valentine's Day. And of course, lots of beautiful reading and writing. I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Get Literate podcast. You'll find links to all the books, resources, and ideas mentioned in the show notes and at elitlife.com. And if you want more, you might like to join my Patreon community. There, you'll find additional inspiration for your reading and writing lives, like bonus podcast episodes, book calendars, monthly book clubs, notebooking challenges, live events, giveaways, and much more. It's only $5 a month, and you get instant access to all the previous content too. You can learn more at getliterate.co. But one more thing. If you love what you listened to today, please take a moment to rate and review the podcast, or take a screenshot of the episode and text it to a friend. This helps the podcast grow and builds our bookish and notebookish community too. Thanks so much for listening.